EPL round 3 of the playoffs. I'm back. I've been away, but I know what has been happening and I'm here to stay. So let's get into today. I'm joined by Temporal and Brackish. Welcome in, guys. How are you feeling? Are you pumped up for this? Like, obviously, we've had a lot of games. We're now going into the next stage. What are you feeling?
I'm pretty excited, pretty ready. This should be a bunch of fireworks, if nothing else. Verzik come up really hot and heavy, and Ruddy have been like the standouts of kind of like doing weird stuff all split long.
No, indeed they have. Now, let's quickly. Welcome in, Brack. Have your time.
I'm here too. I mean, how can you not be excited about this? As Temporal just said, like, these are the kind of clowniest teams we've got in the league, and we get to see up to 3 games of them going up against each other. I can't wait to get it started.
No, indeed. But let's have a look at the playoff bracket. Let's get into where we've been, where we're going, what is happening today. We got it all for you. It's ready on your screen. We had a few games while I was away, which is a little bit of an understatement, right? Venom Crest versus DMG, all of that lot making their way through, making it through to take on Tempest a little bit later, because Ruddy didn't manage to pick up that win. They took themselves down to the lower bracket with a 2-1 loss versus Tempest, which was very close. Almost ended up them going to the upper bracket, but it isn't to be. And then on the flip side, Verzik making their path to the final game, picking up wins against Belfast Storm, picking up wins against DMG, and now taking on their toughest challenge yet, which is Ruddy. So let's bring it back and let's have actually a really quick look at the standings for this season for these two teams, because they actually have reversed stats, right? It was Ruddy that ended up going 8-6. It was 6-8 for Verzik. But in terms of trajectory, and Temporal, I'll come with you with this, it feels like they actually kind of mirrored a little bit.
Yeah, Ruddy tying Tempest in week 1, 2-0 each, and then starting to fall away. And then Verzik, not a great start. Sort of the second half of Verzik looks like Ruddy's entire season, so it's like that general relaxing into playoffs. That's normally a sign you're going to do well in playoffs, so you're saving some strategies, you're pretty secure in yourself, but that little uptick at the end, the only thing that really, secured Verzik away from Arcadia. So it was a little close in the end.
It was indeed. Now, let's bring it back. Brack, I want to ask you quickly, we've seen how these two teams acted in the regular season. How are you feeling about how they acted in the playoffs?
So, I mean, Ruddy with a team that proved Tempest could bleed. So, we can't underrate them by any level. They took game 1, they made Tempest work for their upper bracket spot. And considering how dominant they were in the regular season, that's something that, should be turning heads. Verzik, we've underrated them a lot, I think. Nobody thought, I think, that they were going to beat Belfast Storm. It was a bit of a closer one against DMG, but I think there were still some doubters. And winning now, coming in, yes, we should never claim that they are favoured coming into this matchup, but this is a team that has clearly shown that they are more than ready to take on any challenge and surprise us.
No, indeed. I think that they're a team that has kind of bounced back from adversity. We talk about we weren't expecting them to win. I wasn't even expecting them to win until they won that last game against Belfast Storm. I thought they were losing that game for the majority of it. I thought they were gone. They were done finito, but they still managed to make it out. But we will get to that in a second, because I feel like Verzik, yes, they've had a really turbulent story, but it's one that you've kind of watched a little bit as we've gone through playoffs. Let's bring up Ruddy, though. Let's talk about this team, which obviously we talked about a lot in the regular season, but we now have only seen them once in playoffs, and to be honest, Temporal, if you're asking me, they look new and improved.
Yeah, I think Crisis and Ketsu have really sort of started to get the heat going and come online. A little bit of unfortunate changes in the bot lane still, as Ruddy's roster not fully available, if this is to be believed. Clean, another UK alumnus, but someone new for Sin to play with.
Yeah, someone new. To be honest, they've had some good times, right? Taking on Verzik specifically with subs, right? Shout out to Fuyu coming through with the Twitch Cassiopeia bot lane with Sin. So monster. You never know, like maybe the subs do something a little bit different for Verzik, and maybe it does actually aid.
Only thing, because I've sort of alluded to bum clean there, but we don't actually have that much time. Bit of an Alistair one trick, Mr. Engage the lane, which is pretty good against Verzik's 4-1.
Yeah, I do like that. Now let's have a little look at Ruddy, right? Because one thing I'll say, Brackish, is Ruddy really good at fighting. And we do have a clip which we'll be rolling in a second. But Bragg, talk to me about this skirmish heavy side.
I mean, so Ruddy have, firstly, the pieces in every role to be able to clown with the best. They are strong enough. You've got Akka's Crisis. They're able to fight and usually go toe-to-toe with most of the people you've got. And then on top of that, I think as we're going to talk about more specifically in a little bit, there's Sin. This carry that even when things go chaotic, when things go out the window a little bit, he always just seems to find himself in like exactly the right place.
No, indeed. I think that this ADC, I would say that bot lane in general, I think what really impressed me in this playoff split, right? They were able to be very, very consistent. Again, a really good side from Tempest, and I think that their top side was able to be very movable, but their bot lane was very static in terms of they were going to be unmoved, they were going to be able to make the play, and they were going to be able to get it done. And the team fights is where it really shone through, and I believe we might have this clip now to come through to this one, where you look at it, right? It's a little bit of a tough start to this team fight, but Temporal, they make it work because they have that synergy.
Yeah, I think all together on the same page, and this composition works so well with the Wombo combo, Syndra buying space and time, the Jax and Misfortune to come over, Jarvan to engage, and the sort of thing that broke the Xayah in lane and really pushed their game forward. Already playing their own game looked really good.
Yeah, indeed. And we talk about solo players. Let's talk about top lane as well, right? Because we're going to get there when we flip over the side. We're going to talk about Lars in a second, but let's talk about Akka's, because this man is not only just good for the team, able to set up, but he can get the solo kills as well. And I feel like Ruddy have been setting tempo in games so often with these kind of plays that just gives them innate leads, and then they just snowball from there.
They definitely do. And Akka's, of course, into this slightly odd matchup that Beartree did bring his way, suddenly realizes, oh no, I'm in trouble. Like, this isn't how this was meant to happen. This is a Garen with Ignite, still holding it, and running away from the Cassante that he's meant to be countering.
Yeah, it's like, I'll ult him when he's a little bit lower.
He just never got there, Temporal.
He never did, and it's a thing where they have to watch out for that, right? Because if we do think about the side of Verzik, we are thinking a lot about that top side, and if Akka's is doing moments like that, it could be a quick night for these boys. But let's talk about one player that we keep mentioning, we kind of alluded to a lot. Let's talk about Sin. Let's get up the stats for the playoffs, because Temporal, there was a lot of love for Jamsu in those games, but I do think that Sin has been consistently good throughout the playoffs, but also in the main split.
Yeah, we keep harping on about Ruddy's mid jungle, but their bot lane resurgence in that last series, Sin's ability to carry through really shone. He traditionally leans towards those hyper carries. Great Twitch Cogmore player. He's been versatile, and the Misfortune look real good.
Yeah.
The Varus as well in the series against Tempest. So quite excited to see what he's got in store for us tonight. Could be something special, could be something new.
Indeed it will. But with it being said, that is what we're going to talk about for Ruddy. Let's move on. Let's move on to who they're taking on. Let's take on the underdogs for today's series. Let's bring up Verzik. Brackish, talk to me about this side that is trying to make their way all the way from 0 to hero through the lower bracket.
Well, even if they don't in this series, it's a commendable effort. But, I mean, you'd be remiss to talk about this team without Lars in the top lane. The split push backdoor god that seems to find untenable leads in his lane all alone. Might be a little bit tougher against Akka's today, but I also want to shout out the other carries of this team, because Hollow has had some great showings of his own, particularly on the Yone, and Gino doesn't get talked about enough, honestly, especially in the last series against DMG. 3 games of Sivir, and even in the loss, he looked fantastic.
Yeah, indeed. I also say Jolly Boy had a much better playoff series in the last one against DMG. I think they started to shine up a little bit, especially on the Bard picks, and maybe we see a little bit more of that. As we come back, let's talk a little bit about some of their games, right? Because they've had 2 series already. One I already said I thought they were going to lose. Let's reminisce. Let's go back to that. Let's bring that one up. How they ended up picking up the win against Belfast Storm. Because I will say, one worry that I do have a little bit about Verzik is they're not having the most consistent early games, whereas Ruddy are really taking the early games by storm, and they're running with it, and they're taking you home off the map way before you can even get into the game. And I do think that Verzik haven't shown the greatest tendency at stalling out that bleeding and then bringing themselves back into the game. And obviously we will get the clip up in a second, Temporal. but it feels like when their backs are against the wall, they've kind of lost, or they've done some really crazy stuff like this.
Yeah, this the heartbreaking, I think, split push that ends Belfast series. We see Rengus teleport in, the double teleport designed to like pull everyone back to Baron, but Lars didn't base, didn't leave. He's just able to twist it open. And you know, they didn't have the greatest early game here, but you're right, they held on, and Verzik sort of were a little fragile this series. I think it's how their game one just fell apart. They just didn't get going, didn't get out the gates. Sometimes they can just about make it through.
Man, even now I'm like, no way do they win like this.
Some
but
mental
it's not
damage
all
there
that.
for me.
It's
Yeah.
not always that. When Verzik have been ahead, they have been winning fast, right? DMG, they won 2 games in under 27 minutes. That's not combined, that is 2 games separately, both being under 27 minutes. To combine would be insane. But let's have a look at some of their team fighting, right? Because this team went ahead when given the opportunity to lead from the front bracket, can be very, very dominant.
Absolutely. When they are ahead, they radiate confidence. They are willing to take these angles that might look a little bit sus at first, but they will make it happen. And this particular fight, I adore the Glacial Prison coming out from Goldie. It almost looks like you're going to go, all right, we're going to lock up the Wukong to make sure we get this all. No, throw it in the Oriana's face. We're going to take the fight straight after that and win off that.
Did you say they blew DMG away? Yeah, it's the Janna
Sure
game.
did.
That's the Janna game. That's the only game of Janna we've had all season.
He's brought it up. Let's move on. Let's move away from the criminal jokes to talking about Lars. Let's bring up the stats.
Oh, there's more to come.
How this player has been a huge component of this team's side. And Brackish, talk to me about it. You brought it up a little bit earlier. This person has been popping off in playoffs, but not necessarily as flashy a KDA as they had in the main split.
No, and that could reflect somewhat that in both of the series he's played thus far, Game 1 has been suspect. I don't know why in the Belfast series they opted to put him on Game 1, but anyone who's seen any of Lars's games should know that this is not a tank player by any stretch of the imagination. Meanwhile, in the other series against DMG, Game 1 had a very off-looking performance on the Yone in Game 1, but in both of those series, Game 2 always came back as a statement like, okay, I can do a lot better, let me show you.
Yeah, indeed. And we'll see if that happens again today, right? I think that Lars is a key component. We've talked about how Akers is quite a good player, though, and it could be a tough test for them. I think this is the toughest test for Verzik all split, but if you want to make it to the finals, you've got to get through this hurdle. As we bring it back to us, we got one more big thing that I want to talk about, right? And that is kind of branching off of what I've already said, right? I said that Ruddy are good at team fighting. They're good at getting that early game. Verzik also good at team fighting if they can get a lead themselves, but haven't been consistent. And I will say that one thing that kind of bleeds off of that is objective control across the game. Now let's bring up the stats of how these two teams have been doing objectively around the map in these games, because I feel like Ruddy have had a huge priority on Dragons, and given the fact that we're giving so much of Verzik's power over that top side, I do worry, Temporal, that maybe that is going to bite them a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of the big way that like I think macro should be done in current season. We'll see it plenty at Worlds. Yeah, play lethality, get that first dragon, and then by the time the last dragons come around, your team set on 1.5, 2 items, and it's enough just to absolutely spike the dragon's soul. Now that it's more powerful, it's enough to really blow the game away.
Yeah, indeed. And like average Drakes, right, we're looking at Ruddy, they're getting them a little bit faster. They're getting more average Drakes as well. They're getting that first tower a little bit faster. Now, admittedly, it is quite close in that first tower department between the two teams. And obviously, yes, we do have less numbers for Ruddy to crunch. So maybe there is that bit where Verzik just had a couple bad games and that's affected them a lot. But I do think that Ruddy have got that more synergistic objective control. And it does start to bring that point of, well, that's just going to be another reason that they could potentially pick up a win over Verzik. Now, with that being said, we're going to bring it back to us for one last time. And we're going to talk about what I just said, but we're going to put some words into action and set the stakes a little bit higher. It's time for predictions. It is time for you to tell me, guys, who you think is winning it. What's the score on the door? Brack, you can go first.
My heart wants to say that Verzik will continue the lower bracket run, but I adore this team. I love watching them play, but I think Ruddy is a bridge too far. I think they will take a game. I feel like Lars may just have a pop-off where he runs away with the game. Or keep an eye on Gino. He's been scaled. He's scaled all the way up into playoffs. But the end of the day, I think Ruddy are just going to be a little too much.
Okay, Temporal.
I'm a believer in the lower bracket run. It's not today. I think Ruddy's going to clean 2-0 it. The caveat, Akers has got to deliver, give Lars some space. Ruddy might not be able to come together against that top laner. They want to play team fights. They want to get everyone involved. And that's how Belfast sunk their ship.
I'm also with you, Temporal. I'm going to go 2-0 Ruddy. I just think the early game is too much. I think that Verzik have not been getting off to a fiery enough start, and I think that unless things kind of slip and slide, history's going to repeat itself. 2-0 in regular season, I think 2-0 in this playoff scene. But with that being said, there's only one way to find out what the action is going to entail. Who is going to pick up the win now that we're back? Who is ready to attack? We'll find out shortly after this break when we set up for game 1. And we are here. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have Bruce Buffer, but everyone is set and ready to rumble. It is good time to have some UKEL League of Legends. You're here on the Monday. What better way to spice up your evening, to take away the winter chills than some hot gameplay action coming right now. Ruddy versus Verzik. Winner will go on to take on Venom Crest in the semi-finals, the lower bracket, or should I call it the lower bracket finals, to get themselves to the finals. We'll see what it's called in the playoffs thing a little bit later. But either way, Temporal, we both predicted 2-0. Are you predicting anything a little bit crazy for draft?
I'm just going back through Verzik's last ones in my head, because I think Ruddy had shaped theirs to Tempest very well. They've had lots of time to download Verzik, who we've seen not fully complete on drafts. I don't know if Akers plays the Alawi or some of the more exotic Olaf counters. I don't think it's going to be anything too special, actually, in Game 1. I don't think they're going to, like, try and reinvent the wheel if they think they've got the stylistic answer.
And are we feeling the Yone from Hollow? Because I feel like it's looked better. Like, obviously, classically been playing a lot of mages, now picking up the Yone, seeming to add a little dynamic to the team, and obviously in the 2 games they played it, much better performances against the DMG side. Brackish, is that what you're kind of looking for today?
It's looked pretty hot, Jay, and if I see more of it, then I'm a happy boy. Like, the Verzik, like, yes, they kind of stylistically play the slower game and then introduce chaos once they've sort of scaled into it a little bit. But if they can take the fight to Ruddy on their level in the early and mid game, then that might be an angle Ruddy aren't fully prepared for. Now, obviously, they're very, very good at fighting, very, very good at skirmishing. But if Verzik go, hold up, we're going to do this just as well as you, that might actually, you know, break a wheel or something on the Ruddy pain wagon.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it. As I said, there were some changes that I liked a lot in the DMG series. I liked the Bard coming out for Jolly Boy. I was a big fan of the Yone. I think that just not picking Ornn was just a win, you know, like that's all the good dubs from Verzik. I will say though, Ruddy also switched up a bit, right? They came a bit more consistent. As we are going to go into draft, we'll see if they stick with that or if they switch up once again. But we are going to see Verzik on the blue side, Ruddy on the red side, and one thing I'm expecting is Fiora to be banned.
Shock.
I mean,
Horror. Fiora.
If you've watched any UKL, then yeah, Fiora is just a must ban. Lars, there we go. Lars has played it, 4 games, and in none of them looked even vaguely threatened by the opposing top laner. He was finding himself at 2k plus leads around 15 minutes in all of those games. Like, there is a common denominator, and that's, get rid of the Fiora if you're any kind of smart.
Yeah, you can't escape it. Inevitable.
I like this, like trading top lane and a jungle ban, both removing something. You know, Xante obviously pretty strong. We saw Akers get that solo kill earlier. The Fiora taken away. The Misfortune I do like as a ban. I think that Ruddy, if you give them a wombo combo, they will flourish.
All right, I think Ruddy might have dropped the ability to stop a Xayah Blue 1 coming through. With Jamsu there in support, they can maybe try and do what Venom Crest did and just play the Rakan anyway. The self-ban of Jarvan from Goldie, which was pretty decent, just feels a bit odd here.
I think you've got to remember that Sin has played a game of Ziggs. And how do you beat a Xayah? You outrange her. Just pick a Ziggs, pick a long-range mage, or like a Jace in the mid lane. And then suddenly, Xayah has a very, very bad day. Gino is sat there like crying, having to use Featherstorm every time an accelerating shock blast comes his way.
Yeah, with the Rel pickup instead, the Xayah coming over. Ruddy.
I really don't want the Rakan. Don't give me the Rakan this early. Like, I'm just saying it right now. No, not if you don't know where the Rel is going. I think it's a tough time.
Yeah, Lovers Duo into Rel bot really strong, but yeah, the Rel could go away. I think just attacking Lovers Duo without going like super creative is hard as well. And Ruddy, they're definitely thinking about it, aren't they? They're wondering whether to take them up on it.
I like the Nocturne though. I think it gives them a little bit of agency. Admittedly, not as early game focused as some of their other picks, right? They previously had the Jarvins, the Maokais, the Sejuani, just that early play, proactive movement. But this time, they're kind of giving themselves a little bit more mid-game, a little bit slower skating. So I do wonder if they're actually saying, you know what, we wanted to play very early against Tempest, and now against Verzik, we can kind of take our foot off the pedal a bit and have more security late. As we are going to see the Wukong picked up by Goldie. I'm a big fan of this pick.
Yeah, it separates out the Nocturne from the rest of his team, whether, you know, the team is Doven upon and then the Nocturne just ends up in his own team trying to assassinate someone. Quite difficult.
Are we surprised though? Because obviously they now are revealing that the Rel we bought. We're going to see the Sivir. Brack, we talked about this a little bit earlier on in the green room, has been a very consistent pick for Verzik.
Gino had 3 games of it up against DMG. Even in their loss, the game in which Lars did not get going at all on the Yone, it was getting to the point, like, one bad fight is really what stopped Gino from hard carrying Verzik to a win in that game 1.
Yeah,
He's looked fantastic on this pick. I know someone in the caster booth is going to complain, because she always does. She's not a fan of the Sivir. I'll let her try and explain it. But I think Gino's looked great on it. I don't care if it's bad. He's good on it. Good-o.
Fair enough.
Well said.
The Ari, a point of approach pretty much only, gets the Syndra band to defend it. It's not even a great mid 2v2 till level 6, but we'll look for the level 6 all-in from Ruddy and get them rolling there. Interestingly enough, the Rakan ban away when Verzik were hovering it, I think this Rel is going to the bottom lane, which is a bit of a head-scratcher, as Ruddy should be able to do plenty with that if they are holding R5 for support.
And I do like the ban. I do like the ban of the Jax because it was played a couple times by Akaz. It is quite scary. It has a lot of potential. I like the Renata though. The pickup going to be coming through. It does slow down Verzik if they're trying to move forward, right? It's going to be a little bit problematic for Wukong and the Rel when they're diving in. So a very nice counter. I'm now looking... Oh, they've gone for the Ornn. They've gone for the Ornn. Okay.
Oh dear. Did it lose game 1 to give Ruddy some hope? Is that the end?
Why? I mean, we have talked about the Verzik 01 power spike.
What?
I was not expecting the Veigar. That's a curveball for me, Hollow.
This is a second phase of all time from Verzik. That is creative choices. This is full setup for the Sivir. There's not a lot of other ways to win than coming together as 5 and catching your opponent in the cage. Ak is going to go back to his traditional Gnar. A bit of lane carry, bit of making the difference in team fights, very much his style. Gives the Ornn a little bit of trouble.
And what are we feeling? What are we feeling about this one? Because I feel like, for me, Verzik have got, let's play to the late game, let's scale into it, let's win late team fight. But as previously said in the pre-show, Ruddy are just good at winning the game before you get to late game.
And this is a team that has played around Lars the entire split long. We've already seen one on game. It looked really, really bad. With Gino stepping up so huge, you were talking about like this is a composition that Sivir could really thrive in. So potentially taking the onus off of Lars is interesting and might mess with the way Ruddy wants to execute this. But looking at that composition, not really. Unless like Crisis just gets like blood in his eyes, paranoia's forwards, 27 miles where Jamsu can't put a bailout on him and he dies, then I think Ruddy has like no problems really fighting out this draft.
The only point of concern on Ruddy for me is that the Renata doesn't have the easiest path to her ultimate. We have the multiple melees from Verzik, right? And you'll catch them. Yeah. You want to get the Sivir, you want to get the Veigar, or you want to get the teammates next to them. Going to be a little bit harder to line that up than normally you'd expect. It might be waiting for over the top of a Gnar ultimate, but it's only one extra condition, a little bit of technical difficulty, not something to fail around.
Yeah, a bit of a different lineup from Ruddy as well. I wasn't necessarily expecting a more kite approach, right? I was expecting Sin to kind of go on something a little bit more aggressive. And obviously, I understand taking the Zyra away is pretty effective, right? Geno's look quite good on this champion. But I think all in all, I'm surprised Ruddy have kind of opted into this slower style as well, rather than going like all guns blazing straight out the bat. And they've given a little bit more agency. I do like the fact that they are going to be having quite a lot of roam potential there, right? They can have both Ketzero and Crisis kind of roaming around the map as a duo, setting up for those ganks, those 4 players in bot or the 3 man in top. So I do think they can start to look forward to this one. But if they do go to the late game and they don't end this one early, well, then it does all fall to Verzik.
What you just said, though, Jay, I think is kind of where I'm sitting on this, that, okay, theoretically, Nocturne's gonna power farm to 6 and then ult somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
This is also Ruddy, though, and Nocturne does have crowd control before level 6. He does have an E button. It's not the most reliable of CC, but if you can line it up on the mid lane, you land a charm onto Hollow, use the Unspeakable Horror on top of that, then they could still make things happen in the very early stages. This is not actually something that you have to wait until 6 for.
More likely that like they push out mid and attack it like you mentioned, then take 3 to a side. I think that's just about enough setup. There's lots of little pieces. I do wonder if Lars gets going, Ruddy might have a tough time here.
Yeah,
we've bashed the Verzik 1 picks, but they keep doing it. Still the game 1 play for them. We have to see.
I think the Wukong, it adds enough early game where they could potentially start to have a bit of play potential. Now, obviously, one thing that we talked about a little bit earlier was about the Dragons, was about that objective control, and I do feel like, again, they have kind of set up for that later scaling. Like the Veigar not going to be able to move ahead of the Ahri. The bot lane might have a bit of a tough time getting out of lane quickly. So Ruddy could be setting themselves up for a lot of objective control early. And it's kind of the sentiment for me, what's the timeline? When do Verzik have to say, okay, enough is enough, we need to start fighting now? Or are they just waiting till that 30 minutes simple?
If you're going to come in on a particular dragon, you're going to try and get level 11 on your Veigar, make it impossible for your enemy jungler to tank. I think they can try and go at minute 6. They can try and get Wukong's ultimate relatively quickly. You reckon level 3?
No, sorry, not level. Sorry,
dragon.
3 is the magic number of drakes.
Oh, you're gonna let Ruddy go to 3 dragons is very risky.
No, fight on the 3rd. Let me get the first 2, fight on the 3rd.
Depends. I think if, particularly if you've got a Hex Deck or Infernal early on, I think Verzik probably just want to cheeky drop in there, buy themselves even more time, and just an extra 5 minutes. I think if you do get 6s across Wukong Veigar, that's like a lot of choke. Ruddy could maybe be found there. If the dragon goes down before those 6s, the Ruddy 2v2 bot far stronger at securing that objective.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I'm excited to see how these teams play around the timers. I'm excited to see how they play around the objectives. Obviously, top lane, still a bit of a question mark for me. I'm expecting, normally when I see Verzik, for Lars to be a big carry, so I do wonder how much Goldie is going to go top. Obviously, could get a lot of value themselves if they do manage to pick up the kills, the Wukong start to snowball, but surely we have to be expecting Goldie to go mid bot lane, right? Like, we can't be really looking at too much more. But either way, that is a question for our casters to answer themselves. So with that being said, let's hand it over to Ijun and Jika.
Thank you very much, and we're going to have to see if Verzik can continue on their gauntlet run through the lower bracket. This time, a scary, powerful opponent with Ruddy. Shika, how are we feeling?
I'm unbelievably upset. I can't lie.
Why so?
This Verzik draft is ruining my heart and soul.
I mean, yeah, we do have like Lars on once again, a carry top laner with that Ornn, which, well, earlier on in the series, or not in the series, but like in previous series, whenever he goes like these kind of more non-carry top laner champs, he can't like carry his team as much as possible, and results weren't too pretty. But who knows? They do have a Veigar as a mid pick, and how do we feel about that one?
It's unique. It's definitely unique. It's not something we see very often, but like Tempora was saying, it's very good at playing around these chokes alongside Lars and alongside Goldie. So I'm interested to see how the team fights play out once this Veigar has come online. I think the whole point of it in lane is to give you late game insurance and to not completely run into the Ahri's face. I mean, you're relatively safe with Cage. She tries to spirit rush forward. You cage yourself, walk out the other side. She has to take a really awkward way round. But I'm looking at the rest of Verzik's comp. They're trying to do too much. You've got the Ornn. the Wukong and the Veigar. They play relatively well together. Sivir likes the choke points as well, as does Rel. The problem I have is you've got teamfight crowd control, teamfight bruiser, single target burst, teamfight ruination, and essentially just a meat shield. Your carries are doing two very different things, which can cause a lot of problems when you're into something like Xayah Ari, who can very easily conform to the same kind of play pattern, where they're both just looking to blow up one person, play a fight from there. Also not a big fan of the Sivir. Brackish mentioned on desk, I hate this pick. I think it's a really bad champion in the current meta. I think it's really bad into Xayah. I think you struggle a lot because you have to time the shield perfectly, and there's too many things to be spell shielding in this game. And I just don't think the pick is as worth as something like a Jinx or a Varus or a Xayah when compared to actually how strong some of these champions are in the current meta. I think the champion is just really underwhelming and doesn't bring what's needed, regardless of the results Gino had on it in the last series. This is the stick in the mud for me. This is the pick that I think could make or break the game.
Ooh, my. A lot of comments from Zika, of course, saying that Verzik's draft maybe not the strongest, but we'll have to see, of course. In practice, everything can change. Things can be different. I mean, you know, then real quick question to you, Zika. What would be, like, from your opinion, Verzik's, like, main way of maybe winning this game, maybe surviving to those, like, later stages where they become a really strong team?
Surviving, you just have to not take fights. You cannot be getting caught anywhere across the map. And thankfully, Wukong into Nocturne, the Wukong can survive in the isolated matchup. My big worry is this top side. Lars has looked really off comfort on anything that isn't a bruiser carry type champion. That could be the lane to abuse, but I mean, Crisis already looking for Goldie.
Oh yeah, we do see Crisis, and together with Ketso, forces the flash out. Goldie has to go back, even conceding his own red. So this is going to be Crisis with basically a 3-buff start here. Really nice for him.
Cursed it again. I said the Wukong can be fine into the Nocturne, and immediately an invade comes through. I'ma just stop making comments about individual players because apparently I'm jinxing everything. But in terms of like going forwards from the mid to late game, you need to primordial burst an important target, so you need to catch Crisis, you need to catch Ketsuo, you need to catch Sin, blow them up, and then play the fight from there. You need to do very similar to what Ruddy want to be doing in picking someone off, then playing an advantageous fight. Problem is, you've only really got the one carry that can do it. Sivir definitely struggles in isolation.
A nice cage coming out from Hollow there, forcing the flash out of Ketsu. Otherwise, he would have been sandwiched between Goldie. So, you know, that is kind of early game. We have a flash coming out from Goldie and a flash that is now expended from Ketsu.
And you kind of take that as worth, right? Sure, you lost one camp to the Nocturne, but realistically, you then come back and get the mid laner's flash in return from an overextension. You're perfectly fine with this sudden trade of events. But the game still has to go really slowly for Verzik to really want to be happy playing it, just based on game state at a base level. If things start to snowball in Ruddy's favor, like we see them do so often, Ruddy, a very good early game team, Verzik are going to struggle really, really hard to bring the game back into their favor.
Indeed, indeed. But so far, it seems like laning-wise for all three lanes and Verzik, it's not too bad at the moment. Of obviously, the biggest lead we see is in bot lane with a lot of good pressure coming out from Sin and Jamsu. But otherwise, you know, they're surviving. They're holding on for now, but things might change once Crisis starts becoming level 6 and gets that paranoia.
That is the big pressure point in this game for Ruddy, is you're 6 on mid, you're 6 in jungle. Because this is a terrifying duo to skirmish anywhere on the map. You have extreme river threat onto anybody who you manage to catch unaware. You have amazing rotations to a side lane with Paranoia, Spirit Rush, and frankly, if you can't find some kind of pick with this duo, you're playing it wrong. This is a very strong roaming duo, kind of like with Viari. You're just looking to wombo combo, move your pressure into sides, and if you can abuse the mid lane, even better. If not, it's not the end of the world, you're winning your sides through the pressure you can generate.
Man, that is truly going to be scary once those two mid-jungle duo gets level 6 like you mentioned. And speaking of level 6, we do now have Ketsuo on level 6. Crisis has started up the dragon. It is a Mountain Drake. And so far, it seems like not too much retaliation going to come out from the side of Verzik. He might just give that one up.
Looks like it's being done under their noses. They're completely blind to this. Hollow might walk into it here.
Oh wait, Hollow is level 6, but now he
it's
has
sandwiched.
Ketso behind him. Okay, there comes out the cage, but it's not enough. Now Ketso going into Hollow quite aggressively. Yeah, just making sure that he is backed out, that nobody is interfering with their plans. And that is going to be first Drake for Ruddy. The second Drake going to be Infernal.
It's a very early first dragon, and you could see Goldie got a ward down initially. Ooh, okay. Ruddy got a ward. I'm going to show you.
Wait a second. This is Hackers getting completely knocked out of this fight.
No
He's
way.
super low, and he just goes down. Lars with a first blood. I thought this man could only play carry top laners, but apparently, you know, we forget that Ornn is the whole Death Knight, you know, carry support, you know, yada yada yada, the whole shebang-a-bang of classes.
He is marksman, tank, mage, bruiser, support, apparently. Yeah, okay. Fair play, Lars. You know what? We all said that your Ornn didn't look great. You've solo killed the enemy. I still would rather see how you perform in a team fight. Honestly.
Oh
my
wait a
God.
second. Hollow! He got a solo kill, and look at his HP. Can we get that real quick? 15. I mean, basically like 10 HP, like single digits. How did he survive that?
Corrupting Pot was ticking down and nearly took the Yordle to the death realm. Well, we said that if Ruddy can find the lead, this game looks very weird. However, it's not Ruddy finding a lead. It's Verzik finding a lead. And that is not what anybody was expecting. This is not a draft where you find an early lead. But they're doing it.
They are doing it indeed, and they're doing a great job. Wow, look at this play.
Oh, the tower.
The little bit of miss that made it so the Hollow got stunned there.
Managing to Spirit Rush into the wall of the cage. Yep, fair play. It was a very, very dangerous game to be playing as Ketsuo. And, I mean, Hollow will reap the reward quite happily.
Indeed, indeed. The Herald is up, and Ruddy's still going to take advantage of the fact that they do have a bit of a better position in this early game. We do have Ketsuo, Crisis, and Jamsu here together, taking this Herald. That will be the first Herald going down to Ruddy.
And Ruddy being able to pick up this this first Herald, it gives them a lot of pressure. You're now 6 in jungle, you've already got 6 in mid. As soon as that Spirit Rush is back up, you can gank a lane, force the pressure, and then look to put the Herald down. Ideally, you throw it bot lane. You get as much resource into this Xayah as you can, because already we're seeing the amount of pressure that it can exert over the Sivir. That's just going to increase tenfold if you can somehow manage to snowball it that little bit further.
Indeed, indeed. We do see, of course, like now there is a bit more of a farm lead, just kind of generating in all 3 lanes. 91 to 78, 88 to 77. Like basically every lane has about a 10 CS lead. That is, you know, accumulating to a little bit of a gold lead for Ruddy. They also have that Herald for them, you know, as a little bit of extra boost later on in that game. So yeah, so far the pace is not too bad, but giving up 2 like solo kills, that's definitely going to hurt their tempo just a little bit. All right, wait, hold on a second.
Oh, are we seeing something bot lane?
Yes, we are. We do have, okay, the flash coming out from Jolly Boy to avoid those ganks. That's good. Okay, here comes another ultimate coming out from Lars. No, Akkers, can you get out of this situation? You have to. Oh my god, Akkers is so low. He's playing a bit dangerous. Are you sure, Akker? Are you sure you want to be this close to fire?
The Bellows of the Forge, flame true. This is not how I expected it to go, but Jolly Boy? Okay.
Oh, okay. I think Jolly Boy's out safe. We're fine, we're fine.
Mini heart attack, but it's okay. It's alright. We're here.
Indeed we are. Oh, we do see over here Goldie is here trying to help out. See if Akkers is going to greed a little bit, but Akker not going to greed. He's going to notice that, yeah, I almost died again. There is that TP coming here from the mid laner. like Hollow trying to take out Sin, but Sin uses that ultimate to get out of that cage safely. So an ultimate, 2 ultimates for a teleport.
And a flash, for that matter.
Oh yeah.
So that's not awful. I mean, we have hit Unleash TP timing, I think. Hell. So, you know, it's what, like a 4 to 6 minute cooldown. I forget exactly what the cooldown is after the fact. You're not too worried about losing that cooldown there if you're getting both the ultimates and, crucially, the flash off of Jamsu, but it does mean that it allows for this, which is going to give Ketsuo that little bit more gold. Although Ketsuo has opted to go for the Crown of the Shattered Queen, which, I mean, I can understand it, you're into a Vigar, you don't want to get completely blown up, but on the flip side, you're playing a Burst Mage. That's not a Burst item, friend.
And that's definitely going to limit Ketsuo's DPS output later on in these fights. But, you know, nonetheless, for now, they got that second Drake. It is going to be a Cloud Soul. And pressure still going really good. Currently, Gino is taking quite a bit of a beating here in bot lane. And we do have members surrounding him. And if he's not careful, he's going to just go down here real easy. We have Crisis with the easiest kill ever there. The Paranoia was a nice way to just get engaged in. Jolly Boy coming out with the ultimate, trying to see if he can get anything done. The follow-up isn't really there, though. It's quite limited. We do have Crisis now, or like Ketsuo here now as well. Jolly Boy goes down. Ketsuo has another charge. Charmed up Hollow as well. Hollow getting a little bit low. Oh! Comes the handshake! Okay, Hollow gets the kill at least on Crisis, but goes down. So that's a double kill for Ketsuo.
What just happened?
that was quite the fiesta.
Okay, you've taken one. You've got the 80 carry. You can leave. You don't have to play it anymore. You decide to keep playing it. Your Nocturne gets bursted to the face with Primordial Energy. He's dead. Sure, you've taken the enemy mid laner with you, but that's another free stack onto this Vigar. And pressure you've lost now with Jungler being off the map. That's a terrifying prospect. However, that is, as you mentioned, that is 2 dragons across to Ruddy. I'm terrified of this Cloud Soul for both of these teams. Ooh.
Oh,
just
wow,
because of
Sin.
how good Cloud Soul is for so many of these champions. When we look at Rel, we look at Sivir, we look at Wukong, we look at Nocturne, we look at Ahri. Movement speed is a lot of their kit. And Cloud Soul's just going to bolster that when they press the R key. That's scary. Especially when you've already got a basic, like, you've already got Sivir ult, right? Imagine Sivir with 4 Cloud Dragons.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of speed. I'm just imagining like the Veigar with all the Cloud Soul with the Sivir like movement speed buff just coming in and just like pressing R on someone like, oh, I'm gonna chase you, and you know you can't run away. You try your best.
You've
I'm
heard
just
of
imagining
tactical nuke
scenarios like
Malphite.
that.
You've heard of tactical nuke Malphite. Well, this is tactical nuke Vigar. And
Indeed.
if we
Oh,
follow-
here comes the call of the Forge
Not
God. So
again.
sorry to interrupt you. We do have Akers getting really low. He goes down, but at least now there is a little bit of support coming out from his teammate. Jamsu and Crisis and Ketsuo here trying to avenge their fallen member. And finally they do take it down, so that means that is now Ketsuo on a killing spree. 3 kills so far for Dazari.
Four of them! The Orn only has 1 item!
I guess you really can't stop Lars from just kind of taking over games, huh?
Evidently not. I mean, we're looking at about 1,000 gold lead. That's all in mid-jungle currently, which is kind of what we expected out of this Ruddy lineup. Now the TP bot lane after dive.
Ooh, we do have a little bit of fancy footworks coming out here from both sides. Ketsuo trying to get something done. Oh, but there comes a flash engage from Jolly Boy. But where is the follow of Sin is low.
Oh my god!
Ooh, and comes the amazing boomerang from Gino to get the kill. But of course, a revenge kill coming out from Ketsuo. 4 kills now for the Ahri. But at least Sin goes down.
I mean, it's a small saving grace, but the kill has gone onto your Rel. Meanwhile, the Ahri running away with this game. 4-1. Ketsuo, your solo bolo in the mid lane dreams may have been cut down. Or rather, burst down, shall we say. But I mean, you're fighting everything else across the map, and this is a terrifying situation to be in for Verzik, because I mean, you don't really, especially with the crown, you have no easy way of really dealing with this Ahri.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe that crown was a good choice after all. You know, maybe there's a reason why, at least for me, you know, that's why I'm here casting while these guys are playing these great games of League of Legends, you know. Like, they just know better than me. But nonetheless, I mean, Zika, for you, how do you feel so far about the pace of the game? Like, it's been very hectic, but like Ruddy with a bit of a lead. They got 2 dragons. They got about 2k gold lead so far. What do you feel about this whole situation?
It's way faster than Verzik would like. Vigar and Sivir are not going to come online for another item each, at least, maybe 2. This game really needs to start slowing down if Verzik want to play this the way that comp is meant to. But it's Verzik. Let's be honest here. They're going to play fast and loose and just take a team fight out of nowhere, win the fight and win the game. I said it in the green room before the stream went live. I'm predicting a 2-1 for Verzik. I believe, well, nobody else does.
Hey, you know, if Verzik is going to win, at least the pattern suggests that they need to lose game 1 and then win game 2 and game 3, you know, in spectacular fashion. Like, that's what's happened so far in the other 2 series, that they have triumphed over opponents in which it seemed like they were the underdogs. So this is a team that, you know, maybe a lot of people are looking down on, but maybe they shouldn't. You know, this team's got some pizzazz. I feel like this team's got some soul in them.
They absolutely do. I mean, when you look across Hollow, Gino, Lars, they've all had carry performances this split. And again, we're just this is just going to be a back and forth. We do find a bit of a pause.
I like that pause timing right after like the ultimate misses. Like, wait, hold up, pause the game.
Check PC, check PC, check PC.
But yes, we are going to get into a little bit of a pause here. So, you know, I mean, if we're Verzik right now, right? You talked about like the item timing that's needed for Verzik to now stand toe to toe with Ruddy. Around like what minute, or like what minute would you say like it's around the time where, okay, now we're starting to feel much more safer for Verzik and Ruddy should start feeling much more worried?
Depends. It really, really depends. I mean, you need to get to the point where you're happy to turn around and say, yeah, actually, this is my strong point. This is my next big spike, which for Sivir Vigar is your 2-item spike. That's where your first really kind of power shift comes in, because you get the ability to play team fights and play the catches quite nicely. Problem they're going to run into is there's no real timer for that. It depends on how many fights happen, how well you can soak up CS, and how effectively you can punish the missteps of Ruddy, of which there have been a couple that have already been punished. But generally speaking, especially with Ketsuo so far in the lead, that power spike is going to mean less and less if this game keeps on the way it is. So as much as I'd love to give you like a solid timestamp, like, yeah, at 16:45, they're gonna come into their own and be really, really strong. It really is a case of, can they slow this game down? Can they stop Ruddy ballooning this lead even more? And how quickly can they soak up these resources to get themselves to their first big spike points?
I see. Yeah. So, you know, overall, it seems like a pretty challenging game that Verzik is going to have to face, and they're going to have to play well. But like, another kind of question I have is, you know, well, it's not every match we get to see it, but we do have one champ with an infinite scaling, like, you know, aspect, you know, with the Veigar. So like, is that something at all that Ruddy should be like concerned about? Is that ever going to become a factor of like, okay, now Veigar has way too much AP, like we've kind of lost the game? Or is it always going to be a bit of, yeah, but as long as we just kind of catch him out, we're just kind of fine. He's just going to go down, no problem.
Depends on how unpunished he goes. When we go back into the game, I'd like to get a stack check on the Veigar, and I can kind of give you a more accurate reading on that. But generally speaking, infinite scaling champions, you know, your Ace Souls, your Sennas, your Vigars, your Nasus, they don't really start to come into their own as these big carries just off of their stats alone until about 55 minutes. Traditionally, you don't get to a point where you're so far ahead in AP that nothing can touch you. You're going to Q something and it's going to lose half its health and suddenly they're crying. You really don't hit that point until super, super late game. And that's really uncharacteristic for Ruddy to let a game go that long. So realistically, I don't think it's going to play a factor in this game. But once I have a rough reading of the stacks that Hollow is sat on, I can kind of give a better answer to that question in terms of the time frame. Because if he's at, I think we're at 15 minutes, and if he's somehow hit 300 stacks, you're looking at 600 come 30 minutes. That's 600 free AP. That's a lot of damage when you're sitting on 2-3 items and your second or third is likely a death cap. You're going to be quite high up in the AP numbers at that point. So if we can get that stack check, it'd be great. But we'll see.
Yeah. Otherwise, the dragon has started. This would be Ruddy's third Drake. Okay, we see here 143 stack, so it's not quite 300. But yeah, it is going to take a while. But you know, it's getting there. And for Ruddy, they are making sure that the clock is on their side with this Drake Soul point now. Cloud Soul would be great for both teams, like you mentioned, Sheikah. So this has got to make Ruddy be in a pretty nice position. This is exactly where they want to be.
Absolutely is. I mean, you don't have items on your 2 carries. Ketsuo is 4-1-0.
Okay, they are going in very hard into Hollow, and the burst is too much from Ketsuo and Crisis together. And so they take out Hollow. Make sure that this entire bot side is empty for Ketsuo.
They heard me. Abuse Hollow, stop him from stacking, and they did it. Yeah, I mean, a very cleanly played dive. It just kind of lets you... This is the power of this duo, is you can just pick a target and say, this one's dead. You can't do anything about it. My big concern with this last dragon fight is you don't have 2 items on Sivir. You're not going to have 2 items on Veigar. Your Ornn still yet to join any of these skirmishes, still yet to join any of these fights. And Ketsuo is 4-1 with 2 items already. You're really going to struggle, especially if Sin also gets to that 2 item point as well. You're not going to be in a position of power. You're going to have to cede to the enemy based on strength. And frankly, Ruddy just looking in a much stronger position with what we've been seeing so far.
I mean, for sure, now they are definitely in a commanding lead. 3k gold lead, 3 dragons up. We already see for Ketsuo being fed as 4 kills, already has the Shadow Flame completed as well. So we talked about Crown of the Shattered Queen, like, not dealing too much damage. Well, now with the Shadow Flame, for sure deals a lot of damage. And you can already see them posturing aggressively here, trying to bait Verzik into making a mistake so that they can blow open this game.
The one saving grace that Verzik have is they have a lot of ways to quite easily poke off this crown. You've got the eruption from Ornn, that if she's in really close range for some reason, that can do it. You've got Boomerang Blade, Ricochet, you've got your stacking tool from Veigar. There's a lot of different skills that can be used to poke this off, but you have to see Ketsuo first. If not, you're looking at about a second and a half, 2 seconds after the fight starts where you just can't cut through this Ahri's health.
No, and that's basically all the time that an Ahri needs to really start doing a lot of damage towards either the front line or back line, pick or choose. If we're completely honest, I mean, except for Lars, the front line for Verzik isn't the most tankiest front line ever. Dragon's up in about 2 minutes. The Baron is up. We'll see if Ruddy wants to pressure point anything else in this map.
My big worry is Ruddy can get Dragon, force a fight around Baron, and end the game. They've already cracked a lot of the towers, and they're going to be stronger for another 5, maybe even 10 minutes.
Indeed, we did see that Lars was charmed there for a second. Ketsuo's shield is now down, so it's not going to be up for a while. But we do, of course, in the same time have Actors just split pushing the bot, demanding attention there, while the rest of Ruddy, they seem like they want a lot of vision control around this Baron area. They want to maybe get a fight or force an answer from Verzik.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not to beat a dead horse or anything, but you win fights at this point as Ruddy. You are so much stronger than your counterpart. I mean, the only saving grace for Verzik is you have Flicker now completed for Gino. That item has come through, that ornament has come through. Hollow's being TP'd on.
This a teleport response coming out as well. Hollow is charmed, he's going low, he just goes down so easily. Lars is here to try to save his teammates, but last time I checked, Ornn cannot dash 3 times like the Ahri, so he cannot chase after. So that's just their mid laner down. And yeah, no, it's just going from bad to worse for Verzik.
This is exactly what we want to see from Ruddy. Abuse your side lane pressure with Ahri, Nocturne, Ahri, Gnar, Nocturne, Gnar. You've got a lot of pressure. Your Xayah and Renata are going to be perfectly fine sitting mid, soaking resources. Abuse the solo laners where you can and force Verzik's hand to say, we have to delay fight, we have to delay fight, we have to delay fight, until such a point where you say, actually, we're just going to start a fight and win the game.
Yeah, the dragon is up in 15 seconds, so I think action is going to happen pretty soon. I think if we're in the point of view of Verzik, he definitely can't just let this one go without a fight. But Jolly Boy goes in way too deep, way too early. He gets feared, he gets caught. Oh, but an amazing Wukong ultimate comes out, but there is no follow-up. Everybody's wallet is too thick from the side of Ruddy, so just no one's dead. Except Brexit, of course, but that's both junglers dead. Oh my god, an insane ultimate coming out from Akers, catching out 3 members of Verzik, and Verzik are going down one by one, and now we have Ketzel just cleaning up like a janitor. He notices all the trash on the floor, and boom, he comes and swipes them up. A clean floor now on the Summoner's Rift.
And what looks like a massive overextension from the side of Ruddy turns into a beautiful fight for them. Immediately, Goldie is blown up. Sin just so survivable on this Xayah. The feather pullback flash combo. So
wait, no jungler, no jungler. Oh, but then the small critter, can he do it? Oh no, the Q, it doesn't get the dragon. Ketzel's
Jolly Boy! No!
Oh, Jolly Boy steals it! I can't believe he just did that! You know, we kind of saw like a series T1 versus JDG where like the Rel was such an important factor in their victory. Now we're kind of seeing Jolly Boy kind of doing like a heroic play. Of course, the game is still really tough for them, but Jolly Boy, hey, you know, hats off to you, man. You can definitely, just go back to Summoner's Rift, completely comfortable, because wow, that stopped them from getting soul point. Or I mean, not my bad, not soul point, the soul.
Hats off, Jolly Boy. Massive hats off there. I mean, forcing Ketzel to stopwatch, you suddenly don't have the damage to deal with the objective. You can just say, okay, someone go in, give your life. If you steal it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. Not only do you get the dragon, you shut down this Ahri and force them to lose stacks. Problem is, you now have nobody up and ready to contest this Baron, and that is a 2-item Xayah. This Baron is gonna melt very, very fast.
They are committing the TP here. Hollow is here to getting Rick Goldie. Goldie, can he do the steal? But he's getting poked down so hard. Oh, and he's denied by Jamsu. The ultimate comes out from the Ornn, but now they do have the Baron here. Oh my god, it's a 2 for 2 so far, because that's Gino going down, but the fight continues. Hollow is now surrounded by 3 members. He's going quite low. Look at Ketzel. This guy's so tanky with that crown of the Shattered Queen, so he can just walk with impunity, take down the members of Verzik, and that's a nice fight for Ruddy.
They lose 2, but they've kept 3 Barons, and most importantly, it's on all the important people. All 3 of your damage carries or solo laners now have Baron. You can start to barrel and siege down into these towers and break the base quite happily as Ruddy. A beautiful call to fight coming through there. And this is a big reason why I don't like the Sivir. Is you're very short ranged. You open yourself up to so many threats, and you have next to no safety tools. Compared to Xayah, you've got Featherstorm, you've got Blade Calling, you've got peel back options, you've got a lot of room to continue to play a fight. Versus the Sivir, who, if you can't sit, right-click with Ricochet on and let it bounce between all 5 people a few times, you're not really going to get the damage out there. So, I mean, Ruddy, as we get later and later into this game, yeah, they're on a big clock, but they are bridging that gap before that clock comes into play beautifully. As we see the fight here, and again, Crisis, we think they've gone a bit too deep, but keep an eye on Sin here. Goes so low, but manages to get a beautiful pullback through Goldie, which then allows the rest of the team to be ready for the fight. A beautiful engage from Akers. You got bullied in lane, sure, but you've redeemed yourself. Sin is still free firing. Ketsuo is completely untouched for the most part. It's a very cleanly played split fight from Ruddy that stops Sivir being able to do much of anything. Then Gino tries to go back in. Can't quite get it done. Boomerang Blade doesn't even hit the dragon. Jolly Boy, you can steal the dragon. You can kill our You can steal our Drakes. You can kill our Aries. You can't stop us from snowballing. Sadly, it's the way the game goes.
Yeah, I mean, Ruddy in an extremely commanding position now. 8k gold lead up, and Verzik's just trying to hold on for dear life. We mentioned the clock, and of course, if the game goes to like super late, yeah, Verzik will probably turn this game around. But the problem is that clock is probably around like 40 or 50 minutes, and I'll be honest, that's a lot of time they have to wait. And I feel like Ruddy's not the kind of team that wants to give that time to their opponent. They want to finish this game as fast as possible. So currently they have a 1-2-2 split push kind of setup with Nocturne kind of going back and forth, making sure that their laners are fine.
on 700 AP coming out for this Vigar. Not a small amount on 2 items, but it's not gonna quite be there to take Sin out before Featherstorm can come through. And that's the big thing you're looking at, is if you want to take out your the big team fight damage threat, you need to kill Sin before the Featherstorm comes out. You need to just be able to say, Primordial Burst, Dark Matter, you're dead, you don't get to play the game. Then you can turn your focus onto Ketsuo. Then you can help your Sivir start to melt through this Ahri. But you got to get to that point when you can do that first.
Oh, okay, here is Verzik's trying to engage in. They caught out Crisis, they caught out Ketsuo, but they both are just so like mobile, and they're trying to run away. Oh, but in the end, we kind of forget about Sivir and that movement speed. He might dash a lot of times, but what is dash to just raw movement speed itself? So they actually get a nice fight there, and that's just gonna stop Ruddy's push for now.
I actually like that decision by Crisis. I'm gonna hold.
Oh yeah, it's continuing on, and oh my god, Ackers gets so low, he has to use everything to try to get out. It's Goldie for Ackers, but that's the shutdown gold going for Geno, so Geno's feeling great about that. This gold lead is still 8k, so it's still really Ruddy favored, but Verzik showing signs of life.
Nashor has run out at this point as well, so your siege is nowhere near as good as it could have been. Jesus Christ, Jamsu's health just vanished. Second drag for Verzik. Okay, Sin.
Yeah, this is going to be Sin with that kill.
Okay, Sin. Sure. Let's go with that. But I quite like the decision from Crisis there to just give their own life, because it allows Ketsuo to keep running, and Ketsuo has these so important Dark Seal stacks at the moment. If you keep those, you're matching the Vigar for a lot longer, just based on the damage output you're going to have. And then, I mean, I don't know what happens to cause the ensuing fight after that, but kind of works. You go even, you then lose your mid laner and your mid tower, but I mean, it kind of goes well for you. Your Sivir picks up a shutdown, she's now 4 items. Last thing you need is that last one, the last 2 levels, and she might just be able to stand up for the rest of the team.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, Verzik, they are starting to hit these timings. You know, of course, still 8k down, so nowhere near close yet. But they also got that second dragon, so once again, denying soul for Ruddy for just another Drake. So for another 4 minutes, they might be okay, but it might be less than 4 minutes because, of course, the Baron is going to spawn in about 30-something seconds, and Ruddy for sure wants to have their eyes set on this. They're still in such a big advantage, and with a coordinated fight, I am sure they will still be able to win against Verzik, no problem. But Verzik, no longer an easy opponent to face against.
There is no way in hell that we memed about the 4 Cloud Dragons on Verzik and they actually get it, by the way, right?
I want to see my Veigar super fast, okay?
I'm terrified. I mean, you pop Primordial Burst, you get your Sivir to pop on the hunt, suddenly you're moving at the speed of light. You're going to be tactical nuke Vigar.
Yeah, we might see them in the Olympics at this point, you know, in the like the 100 meter
Usain Bolt cosplay.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, we have quite a bit of duel here. It is going to be, in the end, Crisis helping out, and now they have started a bit of a base race scenario here. They're trying to end the game, and there is nobody on the side of Verzik that can help out in this situation. They have to just fight because there's no one else who's going to match them. Hackers. Oh no, my bad. Lars trying to desperately TP here to save his base. He will be able to save it. He will be able to make them back off, but they're losing so much. They're losing the bot inhib. They're losing the top inhib. They might even lose the mid inhib if they're not careful enough, and they're going to be losing all 3 inhibs. You get the support Jamsu, but for what? You lose everything else.
A beautifully made call by Ruddy as they get collapsed on by the entirety of Verzik.
Oh, we do have revenge coming out from the side of Verzik. They want a revenge for all their inhibs down. But so far, Ruddy's doing a pretty good job of making sure that that's going to be as hard as possible. Look at Sin absolutely annihilating everybody with his Fetter Storms. Oh my god, those Fetters hurt. I will never ever look down on a Fetter ever again in my life. That's so much, and that's just going to be a clean ace, and Ruddy's going to dominate this game and win game 1. Wait, what is this popping up? UKK1 for the script, much appreciated. Wow, great content.
Well, Verzik are living up to it. The script has not been flipped, it would seem. Game 1 will go to Ruddy off the back of a beautifully played team fight by Sin and Ketsuo, allowing so much room for themselves to play the game. That is Well, I mean, this is kind of what we expected, but the game was much closer than it had any right to be for so long, and then Ruddy started to find these leads and run away with it. But I'm concerned for games 2 and 3. Get Lars off of this Ornn, get him onto a carry. Verzik may very well be in with a shot.
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of keep questioning, like, what is with Verzik that makes them, like, keep wanting to go back to tanks? It's just kind of like at this point, they're like, well, let's see if it works out this time. And if it doesn't, we'll go back to our usual strategy. And nonetheless, that was an amazing game. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see with the draft of game 2. But nonetheless, we'll go into a short break. But after that, we'll see if Verzik can bring it back with, Lars on a carry performance.
Yeah. Yeah. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. People wanna talk that talk in reality. You have not seen me in action. You think the come up comes overnight. You ain't behind the scenes. Trust me, these things don't just happen. No shade to Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you tryna eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you tryna cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats, and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan, hey. I've been saving all I can, hey. You could call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands, hey. We ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one on my team look at an empty plate. Yeah. Went from a boy to a man, ayy. Every day been making plans, ayy. They don't really understand, ayy. Gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam, yeah. Only worry about the fans, yeah. I won't compromise the brand, yeah. I've been saving up the bands, whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. Rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah, rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah.
And we are back once again. We are here breaking down game one. And I feel like Verzik, you know, they're just doing Verzik things. They love being 0-1. This is normal for them to get it done. Are they going to come through and pick up the 2-1? We'll have to see. We'll have to find out. But I'm not sold just yet, because I do think the Ruddy came in with a game plan. They came in with a strategy, and they were able to execute. We said they had some flaws to the comp, but they didn't let it get to that. And let's have a quick look at the stats to see how this all went down. Temporal, talk to me about game one.
Yeah, we saw a few unusual things. I think Lars picking up some solo kills on Akkers. A bit of a cause for concern we highlighted in draft, but over the larger composition. We got the dragon scaling up from Ruddy. A few big team fights, obviously not without losses. Geno's Sivir looking quite strong down there at 5-4-4. And while the gold was pretty close between the AD carries, damage across the rest of the board, especially looking at Akkers, tells a different story, where Ruddy were able to pretty convincingly hold on to this game.
Yeah, indeed. And it didn't start off great for Akkers, I'll say that, right? Getting solo killed against the Ornn doesn't feel great. It's a bit of a rough time, but Brack, were you even surprised a little bit at the Ornn?
Little bit. I'm glad to see that Lars, I suppose, can sort of play tanks, but I still come into the mindset of, okay, well, if he got that solo kill on Ornn, what if he did that, but on an actual champion that he can play? Because then he can actually start breaking open the game. And, I mean, the problem was, he got those solo kills, but he's an Ornn. You can't put a game on your back, 1v9, as an Ornn. It is just not in the DNA of the champion.
Yeah. You know, if you want to stay afloat, you need a raft. Lars is a man of his craft. With that said, let's bring up draft. You know, let's get this one in here. Let's have a little look, because it was a different style. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was a little bit slower from Ruddy than I was anticipating, right? They were playing for more of the 6 rather than the early power spikes of that first clear into ganks. Temporal, were you a little bit worried about this comp at all? And did it play out exactly how you kind of wanted it to? Or did Ruddy maybe even, could they have done it better?
Yeah, with the early Sivir, you know, you do have a bit of breathing room. I think Ruddy definitely used that breathing room. Sort of, you know, they got to that first dragon and Hollow kind of checked them, but then they were unchecked again until there were 2 dragons already under their belt. With that time, they were able to scale up. I'd like to see them do it more convincingly with less ways back in for Verzik. I think especially the Sivir scaling was like a ticking time bomb. The Rel offered enough that it was able to steal the 3rd dragon away that was secure. That was absolutely hilarious. And then like get Verzik kind of one step up. It wasn't enough, but Ruddy should be looking for a full shutout.
Yeah, and I'll get both your opinions on this one. Brack, you can start it off. Is it vague ja or vague nah?
Nah for Hollow. I saw him land one good cage all game, and it was the solo kill on to Ketsuro. And I was screaming at you guys in the green room, why is this man not buying a stopwatch? He got nocturned like 3 times this game.
It's so hard to stop the Nocturne coming in. You know, you activate the spell shield as you see the walls come up, and you're just like, I'm coming straight in there.
And I did, and let's roll that clip. Let's have a look at how the game was, because we got this one prepared. We already knew, because this was the story of their game. Hollow having a fun time, having a bit of a rough one there in the bot lane anyway, but then, woo, here we go, you're gone.
Oh, nice cue right at the end to give you the AD bonus. As you, like, check in. That's smooth moves, Crisis. Well done.
Yeah, and I will say that wasn't the only way that they got that lead, right? Let's roll the second VT as well. Let's have a look at what I think is probably the pivotal moment in the game that really gave Ruddy that last semblance of control they needed to take this one home.
I mean, yep, Baron will do that. But the fact that, okay, yes, it goes across, but Verzik were very much willing to fight. It starts out looking really good for them, actually. You get a 2-for-1 trade initially, and then we see Hollow far further up than he had any right being, and it ends up evening up the fight and making it all the better for Ruddy, who would have gone, alright, we lost 2-for-1, but we got Baron on 3 members. Like, they would have been fine with that. And then they just got, like, a free Vigar as, like, a little Happy Meal toy on the side.
I think the clutch handshake on the invisible Wukong, the only thing stop like if
Oh,
that
that was
Wukong
clean.
goes off in the pit, like Lordy Lord, Ruddy, you're in trouble. Jamsu just held the ground fantastically.
Yeah, and I think they're like obviously that was quite early on in the game, right? There was still a lot of game that was left played, but the feeling for me, and this is what we talked about before we went into the game one, objectives really came in key. And who picked up the objectives? It was Ruddy, right? They were able to find multiple pickups. Yes, okay, they lost one dragon through a steal to Jolly Boy, but apart from that, they pretty much had control the whole game. And Temporal, going forward into the second game, right, we're always going to talk about what could they do better, what could Verzik do to change the tide. For me, it does feel like objectives are really just giving Ruddy such an extra level that it's just a free gift almost.
Yeah, I wonder if red side is really that much more favored for Verzik. They can just like hold down the R5, hold out for it. You can do stuff like the Sivir, like this Veigar on 4, like maybe formulate something a bit better early on. Means they won't get like a gift of Rel on blue on anymore. But I think it might suit their style. I think their blue siding of the Ornn, clearly not what's getting them through these games.
Yeah, Bragg, let's start getting into game 2 then, because realistically, game 1, it's over, right? We expected it. Verzik, they love an 0-1 start, right?
One power spike.
There. Like, they go for this one. This is their play, the standard. What do they need to kind of do in your mind to bring them into the forefront of the next game? How could they set themselves up for success?
I want something aggressive early for gold. If it's a Sejuani, if it's a Jarvan, sure. Something that can contest those early Drakes, because of course red side does have easier access to the pit in those early levels. Give Loz something that he can actually carry on. You've heard it for days. I won't like fully flame the Ornn because he did do decent Ornn things, apart from the very last team fight where he just like left Gino out to dry with a Nocturne on his face, but I won't fully begrudge him for that. Just give him something he can carry on. It's a game 2 as well, so like you're pretty much guaranteed for him to pop off and go like 8-1 if the previous series are to be believed at least. And there you've kind of got that recipe for success. Don't let Ruddy get the early objectives. Red side will help with that. And then you're able to play through the mid game when you're not at as much of a disadvantage.
And on the flip side, for you, Temporal, like we can get into what you think Verzik can do, but what I want to know from you first is, do Ruddy just run back the same comp, or are they more proactive about it? Do they kind of play to what they think Verzik are now going to switch at the draft? Because obviously, no carry in the top lane is quite a big change for Verzik. If they are expecting something more like the Olaf or the Gwen, do Ruddy then kind of alter how their comp plays?
I think with stuff like the Nocturne, they were kind of expecting like a crazy out of nowhere Gwen or something, or like a similar pick, like the Lars run forward special. Because you want to be shadowing those side lanes. You want to change the numbers advantage at a moment's notice. Nocturne's great at that. I think Twisted Fate is too far out of meta now. Ketsuo doesn't really play things that teleport around like crazy. Something like the Akali would give him that sort of presence in the side rather than something that Akkas picks or in two sides at once. I don't think they got to change it too far, but they do have to be aware that game 2 is going to look significantly different to game 1.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one because I feel like the switch that we saw on the DMG series of Verzik was insane, right? Their game 1 to their game 2 flipped everything upside down, right? And I would also say that the composition didn't change as much as it did in the first series of Belfast Storm changing, where they went from the Ornn, then they went into the carries, they went for the Olaf. But I do think that the energy of the game really swapped around. Now, the question I do have, right, and we've talked about this a little bit before, Ruddy being the hardest task that Verzik are going to have to face so far. Ruddy have already shown a bit of a different look, right? We've talked about them being a really good teamfight comp, having that wombo, playing that early game. Now they've shown, okay, we can play the mid game, we can play a bit slower, we still will gain control around the objectives, and we'll still push you out. Is there a little bit of a fear, Brackish, where Verzik are now going to switch themselves up, and actually they're still not going to be getting the better odds against Ruddy?
This is part of the reason I said this series might be a bridge too far, but this, I feel like the adaptations Verdict can make in this draft might give them enough of a leg up to get that game 2 win, as per my prediction earlier, that I don't think this is, even if it ends up being a 2-0, I'm going to cop out here, Even if it ends up being 2-0, I don't expect Verzik to fold in this game by any means. I expect it to be close, if not closer, than game 1. So, it's all about these adaptations, though. I don't want to see another tank in the top lane. That should be obvious. But beyond that, like, that should just be expected at this point, I think. I want some early proactivity in the jungle. Like, yeah, Wukong can sort of do it, but we need something a little bit faster.
Not the choice, is it?
Well,
It's
let's
not
have a look.
Zinzan.
Let's have a look. Let's bring in draft and see what we're gonna get. The one question as well that I have is, what happened to the Yone, man? Bring back the Yone. Bring me the draft and bring me some Yone for Holo, because I feel like it was a good adjustment, right? They sent him back onto Vega, a slow AP pick. Man, let the swords fly. You know, maybe even throw Yasuo in the top lane.
I think into the Veigar as well. Oof, bit difficult.
See, I would have really liked the Yone into the Ahri, actually. I think take the Veigar out of that composition game 1 and put Holo onto the Yone. And you've then got two aggressive, or like an aggressive carry that can play forwards in the fights alongside Lars. Or, if Gino scales up aggressively, then he can be the primary focus and Lars and Holo play to protect him.
This is a real head scratcher for me, because it's similar bans, right? I think so far we've had the same bans. Obviously, a little bit of different order there with the Misfortune instead of Cassante, so we'll see if Verzik still ban that out. But they've gone for the Jarvan again, and you stressed that you wanted to see Goldie on something aggressive. They're taking away that pull.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a head scratcher to me. I think Jarvan or Sejuani would have been something that Ruddy would have ended up letting through. Maybe they didn't want to risk just giving Crisis to Jarvan on B1. But in that situation, that's fairly easily dealable with. But instead, Crisis is like,
Ruddy will go inside.
Bet. We're doing the Nocturne again.
It will be the misters of everything everywhere and all at once. With this Nocturne, they are doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. That Veigar, once again, is vulnerable to Nocturne uniquely with the spell shield mid-air. Even if it's not as easy as last game, Verzik have to be so careful. They're going to go back towards the Rel, which makes sense. It was a big part of their game 1 composition.
I am a little bit surprised that they were even considering the Veigar. If they were, maybe it was just a cheeky hover to shout out to us. But the Sivir going back again, there's some issues with it, maybe, but I don't think it was the reason they lost. The Rel obviously giving quite a lot of comfort, and talking about comfort, the rat has come to play. Give Ruddy the cheese.
Oh, and the Nico's. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's potentially the bot lane of all time.
So this is what's referred to as the Shadow Realm comp. Not only have you got the paranoia, you've got Twitch going into stealth, you've got Nico shape splitting, and we got the Vex. She's well at home in the Shadow Realm.
It works out. Twitch do be saying, "How can you see with all this light?" So I do like that. It's a unique combination. We'll see how that one plays out. Vex being picked up here. Do we think that this Nico is going in the bot lane, or do we think it's going in the mid lane? Because obviously that's going to shape the bans.
Sivir has a great way to escape it, right? But I think it's flexible for now. So Verzik are still banning, like the Enchanter and Lulu. They're going to get a little bit of top lane movement. The Cassante away is a bit worrying. That means we're not going to see Olaf here, or something like it, like a Zerka that just goes forwards and it takes over the tank, because they felt the need to remove it. So that might be Verzik all out of juice in this top lane.
There's still Gwen. There is still, I'm trying to think of champions quickly. There are still a few picks, right, that could be played. Rakan going to be locked in, which gives Rel jungle, surprising a little bit to me, but we'll see if this is stacking themselves up.
All right, Ruddy got to reveal the flex. It will be the Nico into the mid lane. Makes a lot of sense. They'll buy themselves a bit of time here now for jungle. They know it's going to be the Rel, or not the jungle, the top lane. We got the Nocturne in so early, it's confused me completely.
You never know. Could be
just blind pick something
was played at some point.
Oh, nerfed into the ground. Way overpowered. Sorry, Daddy.
So the thing I do need to shout out here is that Holo has played 1 game on Vex earlier in playoffs and did look very, very good on it. The Renekton actually makes me like it even more. And the Gwen was, I think, like a fairly inevitable pick with all of the top lane bans that we saw here. Lars loves it. Lars is great at it. This is not exactly the Verzik comp I wanted, but I still think it's the one capable of doing what they need to do.
I think we have to be
So you're feeling positive about it then?
Overall, yeah.
Okay, what about you, Temporal? Are you still feeling positive, or are you feeling like, you know what, 2-0 is looking more and more likely?
It's tough, right? I think with the Twitch coming through, there's some difficult questions for Verzik about how you actually find it without expending a flash, whether Hollow's going to have to play Sniper, or whether Goldie and Jolly Boy are just going to have to burn summoners every single fight to reach the rat. The Nocturne's going to struggle. They won't be able to attack the Vex the same way the Veigar was attacked by the Nocturne. And we've been talking Akers and Lars up all split as two of our great top laners, but this is a 1v1 matchup of all time. Both of these characters go like hard and heavy from 3 forwards, and it's really tough. You know, Akers should have a huge ego. He's been one of our greatest UK top laners for a while outside of Shikari, who's actually like up at that tier 1 level. If he can't make this happen, it's tough.
It is tough indeed. And also, I hate to bring it up again, but they keep leaving me to bring it up, right? They got a lot of late scaling in Verzik, right? They've got the Gwen, the Sivir, the Vex. They all go well. Now, admittedly, faster than last game, right? They are going to be getting online a little bit earlier than they were before, but it again brings that question of, are you going to be able to get around those objectives? Are Ruddy just going to be able to take this one away? Because they were a little bit lucky that it was a Cloud Soul, right? Because if we go Hextech Soul, if we go Infernal Soul, even Mountain Soul, there could be big problems on the horizon for Verzik.
So, funny stat thing, by the way. At Worlds this year, Cloud Soul is the highest win percent.
Oh, that's one crystal ball I've got. I've flubbed the rest of them. That'll do.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, Infernal, oh, Hextech. Nope, Cloud's the highest win rate.
Is it also the highest, like, is it also the highest spawned?
I don't know, but
I don't think we've had
just an interesting little factoid for you while we're waiting for
I
the game to
like
get
that.
in.
No, I do like those I do like those facts. I think the Cloud is good. For me, Cloud is like 3rd or 4th best soul, right? Like I think that it's in the mids. You know, it's not top, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like I'm never like, oh, sad it's Cloud. You know, but at the same time I'm like, yo,
it's because the hate for that's been taken by Chemtech.
Like it's a win.
Yeah, I do wonder, talking of late game scaling, you know, we've talked up the Verzik scaling. I don't think they've got a lot on Twitch, especially when Nico comes in.
Twitch is going to be tough.
Nico comes in like faster and a bit further, and that's the setup. That's what the Twitch needs. So that'll be ready, even if it's behind. Like, burden of execution, Verzik, so tough.
Yeah. And
it's
we
also
talked about
so
this
tricky
earlier in the green room, right? We talked about the fact that Sivir is a little bit tough, right? Can be a bit of a difficult one. I said Sivir, really good if you're playing into 3 melees. Now, there are 3 melees, but there's also a Twitch who is going to be firing from very far away and probably from somewhere you can't even see because of paranoia.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying about this Ruddy comp being rather tricky because paranoia comes down and then a Nico, or a Nautilus that is actually a Nico walks at your team, and then a second Nautilus hides in the darkness, the actual one, waiting for the Pot Blossom to come forwards while Twitch is off somewhere else looking for the other flank. There's so many like noodly ways that Ruddy can find their fights.
The second Nautilus is the deadliest. What's that extra cannon minion doing here?
And Verzik,
I don't remember this ward being in this bush. Yeah, like...
they do have to play their fights out in a very specific way for this to work out. Whereas Ruddy can be far more freeform, I think, with the way that they execute on these. They can just front to back it, though, because Sin can press R and outrange anything that Verzik can do.
Nico Rennington a lot to move forwards over.
Well, you never know. I think there's worlds where Verzik could come into this, right? If Verzik do build a lead early, I do think they have a lot of potential to take this one over. I think the Gwen, especially, could be a very key component in them picking up this win. It's just whether or not I feel like they're going to be consistent enough against Ruddy, because I do feel like Ruddy aren't going to just roll over, right? They are going to be strong into the later stages as well. They have a little bit more to back up their choices, but we'll see how it all ends out. Are we going to be correct? Temporal, is it going to be a 2-0? Is Brack going to be still in the running? We'll have to find out shortly, but we're going to hand it over to our casters for potentially the final game of today. Zika and Nijunko, let's get it.
Thank you, and yes, we shall see. Is this going to be the end of Verzik's low bracket gauntlet run, or can they bring it back and bring us to another exciting game tree, which is, it's something I want. So, I always want an exciting game tree, so I'm going to be, hyped for Verzik. But how about you, Zika? Do you want a game tree, or do you feel like this is going to be just a 2-game series.
My prediction rides on a game 3.
Oh.
And frankly,
Jika, you might be muted. I'm not entirely sure, but I can't hear you personally.
yes, I am. My bad. My prediction rides on a 3-gamer, so I'm all for it. I mean, I'm excited to see if Verzik can make this work. I still don't like the Sivir, but you know, Lars is on a carry at least.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, Lars on the Gwen, we have seen some incredible performance. But of course, Akers is no slouch. He is a really, really good top laner himself. And on the Renekton, so this should be a really exciting matchup between them. We have Jamsu and Crisis here just, you know, chilling around there, just checking out what's going on. Oh, my bad. It's not Jamsu. It was Kesso. Even I got tricked. But, oh, we do have 5 members of Verzik trying to see if they can get a catch here onto the real Jamsu. But nope, Jamsu is safe. He's going to be just backing off there.
Which one's the real one? Ah!
Yeah, even I'm getting tricked by these kind of stuff, man. I can't take it no more. You know, why they gotta be a Nico? I mean, at least for us casters, I was hoping that the name would be like, you know,
Yep.
it would still show as Ketsu, but when it shows Jamsa as well, then I completely trust it for some reason.
That's why you have to look at the player model. Is it green? If it is, it's Nico.
Yeah.
Although everything's gonna be green with Twitch in this game.
Oh yeah, that's really true. I mean, how do you feel about Ruddy's draft in specific with, like, I think what Brackish called like the paranoia comp with the Nico, the Twitch,
Shadow Realm
you
draft.
got the Nocturne that's there. Yeah.
I'm in agreement for the most part. I mean, how do you play a fight where you can't see anything flying at your face? Especially when like you've got paranoia plus invisibility. Not only can they get into good positions with invisibility, they then just suddenly start ruining your entire health bar out of nowhere. You can't see them from paranoia, so it's gonna be very hard for Verzik to play unless Lars can really start to find these damage dealers without fail, or Hollow can start finding them without fail. I don't know if this game's really gonna go Verzik's way. I think it's like Temporal was saying, the burden of execution is so much higher.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, you know, I can at least tell from not even solo queue experience, though, even when I'm playing with friends, when you play against the Nocturne and in team fight situations where you can't see a lot of things, it gets so hectic and it gets so much more difficult than it should. Then you add 2 invisible champions to the mix, man, you've got quite a bit of a hard game in your hands. But Goldie here is intent on making sure that doesn't happen to their fellow bot laners. They're going in here with a gank, flash into the Sin, the knock up, the stuns come out. That's first blood going over to Goldie.
It's a good play. You force the fact that Twitch is a short range carry on him in the early game. You manage to find the pick onto him. You get the flash as well. It's unfortunate the kill goes over to the Rel, but I mean, a kill's a kill at this point in the game. You're not really going to find yourself complaining at any given point. But I need to see the comms. You'll be able to tell what Verzik's comms are like when mid-game comes, right? The comms from Verzik are going to have to be clean and concise. You can't play this game out if your comms aren't there, because unless you know exactly where Twitch is at any given point before it starts firing, you're really going to struggle.
You know, Jika, you know, a bit of a question to you, you know, considering the fact that you have so much experience in the more professional scene here in League of Legends. Why do more teams not prioritize Nocturne as a jungle? I always felt like, especially in a coordinated team comp, just playing with a Nocturne and having to play against it would be such a nightmare scenario for a lot of teams, but we don't see it too popular.
A lot of the time, the meta goes quite heavily against it. Nocturne likes being able to bully out his enemy. And being able to bully it. This is a really unique clear coming through from Goldie. You completely ignore both your buffs and your top side, and then you go for the gank bot and you go for it again, because why wouldn't you?
Yep, here we go again into Sin. The stun comes out. Sin has the ghost though, and the slow from Jamsa will make sure that Verzik cannot step too much more forward. So this time Sin gets away with his life, but now no ghost, no flash.
It's definitely a dangerous situation to be in as a Twitch, but yeah, so the Nocturne can be countered quite quickly by a lot of the meta a lot of the time. Thankfully at the moment we're into a lot of tanks. They don't really have the same level of early pressure that something like a Xin Zhao or a Wukong at its strongest, or you know, those kind of champions would. So you can get away with just saying, okay, I'm gonna just play Nocturne. I'm gonna be generally more useful than you at most every point in the game, and there's nothing you can do to stop me, especially with the Bruiser build being so strong. But it's when you can't just freely pick it and you really do have to weigh up those options that he gets outvalued by so many other junglers. You can take him, but you would largely be looking at losing the efficacy for it.
Yeah, but speaking of value, Crisis for sure is bringing out the value on this Nocturne. Look at the farm difference already, 43 to 20 on the side of Goldie. Goldie has not been able to farm. In the meantime, Akers is going hard into Lars, forcing out that, or not really forcing out anything. I thought he had a flash, but no, he has an ignite. But this will force him out of this tower, and this means that Aker is going to get a lot of plates.
Katsuo has just walked face first.
Okay, that was kind of funny. I don't know what was going on there. But wait a second, he goes for the dive? Is he going to survive this?
Barely.
Oh, wow, just barely. That could have gone so bad for Ketsuo.
Katsuo getting a bit ballsy. Again, we saw it in game 1, died for it. We're seeing it again in game 2, almost died for it. We'll see it in game 3 if game 3 happens and it'll work. You know, following the logical train of thought there. But Verzik,
yeah, third time's the charm.
Yeah, exactly. Verzik will go to pick up their first dragon of the game, though. It is the first dragon of the game, period. We're looking at an ocean dragon next.
Yeah, but I must stress again the point, like 55 to 24 CS difference. This Nocturne is farming absolutely monstrously. At this point, he's going to get like so many items, and like he's already level 6 as well, so my god, I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Nocturne, largely, is you are relatively gold reliant after 6. You're XP reliant up until that point, but as soon as you hit that level 6 mark, you're looking to just get your items to be that little bit beefier. So having this CS lead over the Rel is going to prove invaluable in order to allow for you to play the game out at your own pace. Because if Rel was the one with the lead, you'd be forced to play a lot faster than you otherwise want to.
Meanwhile, here on the top side, another CS lead with Aker about 20 CS up. This Renekton pick so far is turning out to be really nice into the Gwen. Of course, they did the Gwen pick as a counter pick into the Renekton, so I'm going to assume that Gwen starts to get stronger as the game goes on more and more. But Zeke, at what point does the Gwen start to become a lot more stronger? Is this the 2-item power spike we're looking at?
First into this matchup. So Renekton's quite a big lane bully, but is reliant on having that Iron Spike whip item, so either Gore Drink or Stride Breaker, to really be able to blow the lane apart. Problem is, you're into a Gwen, and once Gwen has Nashers, she's very hard to deal with, because when you combine that with Skip and Slash and Snip Snip, you're losing a lot of your health when Slice and Dice is off cooldown, and a lot of your wave clear does come from being able to move into the wave, use Cull the Meek, and then move out again. And usually we see that done through the use of Slice and Dice.
Oh, speaking of Slice and Dice, they are trying to Slice and Dice away Sin, but Sin has to use both the Flash and the Ghost just to run away from this scenario. In the meantime, with that prio they got in the top lane, Ruddy has secured themselves the first Herald, so that's really nice for them. So far, Ruddy with a bit of a nice little lead. You know, I'm going to say most of that lead is, of course, coming from the top jungle duo here at the moment.
It absolutely is. I mean, Sin struggling a little bit in the isolation in this lane, but you're not dying. Outside of that first gank, you're fine with this because you haven't really died. You're not giving that much over to the enemy, and you're relatively safe so long as you don't suddenly have a Vex appear on your base. That's really where you need to start worrying. So this Twitch pick is paying dividends. And considering it's one of Sin's favorite picks, I'd like to see it continue to do so as the game goes forwards.
Yes, and indeed, and we'll have to see how that pays off. We do see, like, the game is, you know, this game for sure, you know, there's been a lot of tense moment, but not as much action. But I have a feeling that once we start getting to Drake fights, stuff like that, it's going to, like, quite explode out of nowhere.
When we start to see these team fights, that is the big key. Honestly, I think breakpoints aren't going to play a huge part of this game. Because your AD carry is going to spike at around the same time. Your mid lane is going to spike at around the same time. Your top lane is going to spike at around the same time. you really are looking at just how these team fights are played.
Oh, we do have a little bit of a skirmish starting here. Jolly Boy gets low, ignited, and poison, and he goes down. Kill goes over to Jamsu. Oh my god, he got shut down so low. I mean, he was just trying to save his, AD carries Gino. Gino is posturing aggressively because, of course, Goldie is together with him. We do have now the Nocturne ultimate coming out. Oh, it was both top, but it was maybe even defensively towards the bot lane here. But now we have Hollow coming in with the ultimate. Gets a kill, gets another one here. This one goes over to Gino, so that's 1 kill each. Meanwhile, they have a dive here on top lane, but look at Lars. He's handling it like a champ at the moment, but he is quite low, so he has to be careful. He has a nice snip, snack. A stack going on, but now that the Herald is down, this tower is not going to stay for long, and they have pincered him out. He is alone. Oh, he's running away. The flash comes out to try to get him out, and they will in the end get the kill here on Lars. A nice kill for Akers, and the turret goes down the top lane as well.
I can kind of understand the want to get out of the tower. It's about to die to the yeah, that. I quite, your tower's about to die to Herald, you're dead one way, you have to do something. Running down there is a good idea. Problem is, you don't have jungle or mid really ready to match. They've just made a play bot lane. And it was a good play. Verzik, they managed to pick themselves up 2 kills. They managed to stop Sin from coming into this game that little bit quicker. But again, as soon as team fights hit, I worry for Verzik. Unless they can really blow this game apart and get Lars to first, second item. And Lars opting to go for the Riftmaker first over the Nashers. This game is going to look very different.
Yeah, and now Akers is roaming around the map. He is exerting his influence on everywhere else in this rift, making sure that everyone else, not just him, is prospering. And in the meantime, oh, he has TP'd back top just to defend it, while Ruddy is getting the second Drake, an Ocean Drake, and we shall see what the soul will be for the game. It is going to be clouds. Oh, I can't even see what's going on because, of course, Jamsu is getting caught out here. He's getting chunked down by Gino, so he is going to go down. It is going to be another Cloud Soul here. A kill for Gino.
Why is it always Cloud?
Well, you don't like Cloud? Oh, no! I don't think... Oh, my God. Goldie just goes down so quick. Can they retaliate? We do have this amazing ult coming out from the side of Quetzal, catching out both bot laners. But oh, look at Gino. He's dealing a lot of damage, but not as much damage as Sin can deal at the moment. How is Jolly Boy alive? I don't even understand this. This is defying the laws of physics at this point. Wow, this man, I thought he was going to die.
No expunge means no kill for Sin. Very good use to just stay in the corner there. You don't get hit by the Venomous Cast. You can just play the fight out happily. Ruddy managing to find a return kill is a bit of a miracle. Goldie stepped a little bit too far forwards and does pay with their life. And now the gold lead's still in Ruddy's favor.
Yep. Oh, okay, here we go. Aggressive movement coming out from the Goldie and Lars. They're trying to catch out Akers, but Akers is very tanky. He has a lot of healing power. They have to be careful. That's the heal number 1. That's heal number 2. He is getting chunked out quite low. He is getting chased away, but now they have to back off, noticing that, oh man, if we can't kill him at this point, for sure his team is going to be there to support him. And that is going to be Akers surviving that gank. Wow, well done from him.
Merc treads OP. I mean, you're up against 2 magic damage dealers, one of which it doesn't have a full item yet. Very well played from Akers to live that there, and didn't get cheated by Boris, so very well played there as well.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, so far this game, once again, the early game is in favor of Ruddy, but I will point out that I feel like this game is definitely not as dominant as game 1. Verzik still has quite a bit of a foot left in this game. It is about a 2.5k gold lead for Ruddy, but Dragon is equal. Verzik is still holding their own. Their carries are doing fine. It's basically just Lars who's struggling quite a bit, but of course, as the game goes on, he will become more and more of a menace.
I think the game is more in Ruddy's favor at this timestamp than it was last game, but I can agree with what you're saying of Verzik still definitely have a foot in this game. They can come back to it. I'm just waiting for that first team fight, that first big pop-off for either team could really make or break this game in terms of the leads that have been accrued or that will be accrued. but based on how last game went, Ruddy definitely in a driving seat compared to last game.
Yeah, and this game for sure, what another thing Ruddy has to face is, you know, the soul of Verzik. I mean, you know, this is going to be their last series, or this could potentially be their last series, so you can definitely bet that, you know, one game down, backs against the wall, they're going to try their best to make sure that they don't lose this game. They're going to fight tooth and nail for it, but so far Ruddy is making it really difficult with that ultimate coming out from Crisis. That forced Lars to just completely back out from that turret, conceding that, but of course, in the same time, in bot lane, Verzik is pushing it out as well, so they are still fighting for any kind of advantage they can get at the moment.
Slowly but surely, the game shall ascend. Herald going down mid lane is the second tower secured for the side of Ruddy. While Verzik do be on this bot lane tier 2, it's not really going to get them too far because they are going to lose this mid tier 2.
Ooh, that's 2 turrets just lost. That's not really the best lucky we were looking for right now. They do have Verzik here on the sideline. The teleport coming out as well. This is a big commit coming out. A nice knockout comes out, and Sin is getting caught out, and Sin goes down, but so does Gino. So both AD carries down. But this fight, Verzik wins 2-4-1. So what can he do with this lead? Akers is here, and Akers very healthy. So is Aker number 2. And now, ooh, Crisis maybe caught out. They get 1 member. Ketsu gets a member here. And now Aker uses his ultimate. He is among 3 members. He is healthy. He is feeling good. He is healing up like nothing in this world. And he's still alive because, of course, it's Renekton. You've made him this fed, so you have to pay the price. Hollow trying to fear out everybody. But the only one that they are afraid of is their own life, and therefore nothing can stop them at this moment. Oh, feared before the auto attack even comes in. Brexit over here trying to get the kill on Goldie, and Goldie, he doesn't deal that much damage because he's just a tank. Oh, it's so close, but in the end it is going to be Crisis getting that kill as well. So Ruddy turns it around.
And that's pretty much a clean ace coming through from Ruddy, and this is what we were talking about. These team fights are going to get so hard. You couldn't pull off the big wombo combo. Your Nocturne has to walk in a little bit late, gets chunked, can't really play the rest of the fight. But Akers and Ketsuo playing the fight to perfection to allow them a little bit more breathing room. And they can now...
Man, what do you even do? What do you even do into this Renekton, man? You try to chunk him down so much, and he keeps healing back up so gosh darn much. I mean, what can you even do? Here we go. Yeah. Wait, Gino? Gino wins! Oh, he won that duel!
So, wow.
Oh,
wait,
is he gonna save him? Wait,
No.
maybe,
No.
just maybe. He's Spear. Oh, he's CC'd. Oh, the auto comes out. But Crisis, can he run away from this? Is he gonna get away with murder this time? No, he will not. The shutdown comes out. So that's a 2-for-1. The jungle and AD carry both down. Dragon is up for Verzik.
So the interesting thing about this matchup is if Twitch can just spray and pray for free and not get hit by the Sivir, you can kill her very easily. But because you're in the 1v1, you have to get quite close. And at 1 item, Sivir is stronger than you are because she can like hold spell shield and force you, like drop it when she gets semi-low, force you to hold expunge. She's free firing on you, and she does more auto damage early in the game than you do. So you're kind of forcing them to say, try me, Sin. Come on. I know you're gonna pop the E button, just have to wait for it. And it didn't happen, and Gino does manage to come away with the 1v1.
Yeah. Verzik with that dragon gets a nice objective bounty as well, so this will definitely help them. But look at Akers right now, 303, about 40 CS up his opponent, and with like the Spear of Sojin done as well, this Renekton, man, I would not want to be in this game. If I was like the top laner who's going to have to go into the Renekton, I'd just surrender. And I don't know, this looks like they're trying to get Jolly Boy, or no, my bad, Jolly Boy Goldie as low as possible. Ooh, Akers goes quite low. This fight is pretty close because both frontliners have taken a lot of damage, but the backline is completely safe. But my god, Jolly Boy with a nice engage is able to chunk down Jamsu. Sin gets low as well. Everybody from the side of Verzik is wounded, but they are alive and they're holding on.
Envy bloody P for Jolly Boy in that fight. A beautiful use of Rakan's just kit in general, excelling in these choke points, knowing exactly where Jamsu wants to go and saying, no, you're still going into the app, you're still dying. Very well played from Jolly Boy.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Lars now completed his first item. So this is that power spike we have talked about. But of course, because he's going against Akers, who is this fed, I feel like he's going to need that second item just to help him a bit more.
I think we're looking at like 3-4 items before you really start to cut into this Renekton from anybody. I mean, Nash's is going to be helpful for Lars, but I don't think it's going to be enough per se. You really are going to need Hollow or Gino to be there with you just to kill and cut down this Croc and make a nice pair of Crocodile Skin boots.
Yep, oop, this red, okay, goes to Jolly. No, not Jolly, my bad, Goldie. I keep forgetting that, like, Rel can be played as a jungler, so I keep thinking it's the support player for some reason, so I keep thinking, oh, that's Jolly Boy. But then there's two Jolly Boys. I mean, maybe he's just that good of a player.
I mean, Jolly Boy has been around for a while, but this is a Baron start from Ruddy, and it's completely under the noses. They have been seen. The setup for a fight not really there. I mean, look at the distance between anybody from Verzik and Ruddy on this Natio.
They are playing really, really careful because they know this matters so much. We do have Goldie here with a bit of a flank angle, but oh my god! Comes in Akers together with Ketsu, and they are completely deleting everybody. Goldie has a nice shock, ultimate, but it doesn't matter because all of his carries are dead, so the follow-up isn't there, and Ruddy will take control of this game in the backs of Aker and Ketsu.
Beautifully done from Akers and Ketsu to find a flank, allowing Crisis that way in and just completely dominating the team fight. Goldie the only one left. Could look for a steal, but likely won't. Will just opt to go for mid tower instead. And the health bars are too low. You actually can't do this.
Oh, what? Oh, they decided to just completely back off. Wait, they couldn't do this? Are we sure?
The health bars were too low.
Oh,
They
what?
would have lost Jamsu and one other at least in order to kill it because they didn't have Smite. They didn't have the consistent damage coming out of this Nocturne. You're relying entirely on Twitch, and as we know, Twitch's damage in the early game kind of gated around Expunge.
Oh my god, I didn't think about that at all. Like, I genuinely thought that, okay, since they won that fight, they were going to get Nasher. At this point, they would be in complete control of the game. They are going in to Gino once again. Gino is feared. He is rooted. He goes down with impunity. And Akers from behind strikes again. Goldie is gone. Akers is on a rampage. And this time, for sure, I am pretty sure that they are healthy from the side of Ruddy to take this Baron.
And there's no Smite fight contention here either. Ruddy finding beautiful fight after beautiful fight. The gold lead is ballooning. 6,000 gold and a Baron to boot as they look to really stomp Verzik into the mud. They've given Lars a carry, waiting for Lars to find that utility. Will it be at 2 items? Only time will tell. Ruddy are just putting on a masterclass of how to deal with a team who plays through carry top laners.
No, yeah, I mean, such an impressive performance from Akers, but in the same time, it's so sad. I mean, I feel like this series for sure was not the strongest from Gino. Like, he's been getting caught out a bit too much in like these scenarios, being a bit too careless, not waiting enough for his team to like support him and just going quite eagerly in the front, trying to get CS, trying to get money. And unfortunately, it's come to cost him quite a bit of these engages and fights.
Absolutely, I mean, your Spell Shield will only do so much, and I do believe, if memory serves, you can Spell Shield Paranoia, but because there's no cast time or wind up, it's extremely hard to do. So if you do manage to do it, well played to you. We are going to even up the dragons here. Verzik, they can't leave their base to contest it. My concern, though, is you're still looking at Baron-powered minions. You can 4-1 this, you can 1-4 it, you can 1-3-1 it, you can 5-0 it, you can do what you want at this point because Verzik are not in a position to contest.
No, they are not. They are trying to get as much as they can. Lars trying to keep his team alive by pushing, but Ruddy, like we know, is not a team that wants to give a lot of chances, doesn't want to give a lot of room, so they're pushing relentlessly. We do still have Lars on the side lane trying to take that turret, trying to get as much gold as he can for his teammate. But what point is gold if all of your structures are falling down, if you cannot do anything but just watch as your team gets obliterated left, right, and center? This isn't the worst start for Verzik, but they just don't have all of their members. Where is Lars, the savior of your team, when he is completely gone and wiped out? The entire team is wiped out, and now Lars stands alone into 5 members. He is the lone carry of Verzik, and he alone maybe can save this game, but he has to try his darn hardest because this is not an easy series at all. He gets 2 kills, and he gets a 3rd. He's getting rooted. He has to back off, but he can't. And therefore, with Lars as the last member alive in Verzik, he will be the last member to fall, and the run will end for Verzik, and Ruddy will go to challenge Venom Crest for a spot in the finals.
I mean, Verzik, the lower gauntlet was so nearly there, but their 0-1 power spike did not kick in. They were outplayed, outdrafted from minute 1, and the game just looked so hard to play from there. So well done from the side of Ruddy to put the boot in onto Verzik. We're gonna see a rematch in the grand finals. Which rematch it'll be, I don't know. Venom Crest versus Ruddy will be on Thursday. I'm excited. I mean, if Ruddy can carry up on this form, they're going to put up a good fight against Venom Crest on Thursday. I mean, what? Which way does it go?
Yeah, no, for sure. I thought they played sublime League of Legends. I mean, and I watched Worlds, so I've already seen some amazing League of Legends content. But hey, 4 Nations, they never disappoint. So, this was an amazing game for that. And unfortunately, this means that Verzik is out. I do still hold a lot of heart for this team. I thought they played their hearts out this lower bracket. They played with so much soul. So, still congratulations to them. And, of course, congratulations to Ruddy for moving on. The series is over. So there isn't going to be any more games for tonight, but of course there will be some amazing post-game analysis. So GK, it was really nice casting with you, and for everybody else in the chat, we'll be back after a short break.
Well, here we go. That is how the cookie crumbles. It is going to be the prediction that we set out from the day, and it just sometimes is that way, right? It is what it is. I think Ruddy showing once again that they are scaling. I think they looked better from the regular season. I think they looked really good against Tempest. They looked even better today. I think they're just going to keep growing, and we'll see if they can take on Venom Crest later down the line. But before we get to that, let's break down this game. Let's have a look at the stats. Let's have a little look at those post games. And Brackish, talk to me about this one. Obviously, a bit of a faster, higher tempo game. Not the same amount of stats padded, but still a pretty good performance.
Yeah, this game felt a lot more Ruddy than game one did. I very much liked the theory of the Twitch. At the end of the day, if you look at the numbers, Sin actually wasn't that huge of a factor in this game, but the pick of the Twitch made Goldie spend so much time in the bot lane that Crisis got to farm up to level 6 for free and really quickly, and Lars was forced to play weak side, and we saw what happened. I mean, look at Aka's stats there. 608, over 20,000 damage.
Yep.
That Croc was truly monstrous.
No, a real Goliath in this game. And Temporal, any other takeaways that you want to bring to light?
I have been talking about Akazol split. I said in draft, if you don't make it, this is the Verzik script and it shall be written. And instead, stands up strong. I think Akaz and Crisis played one heck of a top side.
Yeah, indeed they did. And let's bring it back to us. I think that realistically, it's kind of poetic that this is how it will be. I think we're going to throw it over to the first replay, which is a 2v1 on the top side. And I feel like, Temporal, we've talked about Lars so much that, of course, you have to kind of deal with it.
Yeah, this was Ruddy's approach. They'd got the Renekton ahead, and then this is a really traditional dive where, there is no way that Lars, even if he runs backwards, gets away there meaningfully. Ruddy are able instead to send the Renekton on first, and then the Nocturne catches up. And it was made impossible for Lars to play it through this game.
It was indeed. And Brack, we're going to bring up another one, right? We're going to bring up the fight around 15 minutes, around 60 minutes even, where Sin goes down, but then it's just such a strong performance from Ruddy. They just turn this one around, and I feel like this is what we talked about, right? We talked about the team fighting prowess of this side, and they just make things happen.
Yeah, and it's also the Sin fear factor that I alluded to earlier. As this Twitch altogether wasn't actually that terrifying, but they commit a lot to ensure that he dies, and Ruddy go, well, look at the complete lack of other ultimates available. Oh, well, we've got a couple of those still. And Akaz hits the Dominus, and he heals so much that Verzik simply cannot deal with him. Ketsuo as well. Able to make his damage happen too. And I think there was some desperation creeping at this point from Verzik, because Goldie, I feel like you just have to concede that player's lost. Ends up stepping back in and giving over his life as well.
Yeah, and look, it almost goes their way, right? A close one at the end with a Crisis, but all in all, it was just Ruddy. We talked about the team fighting, we talked about the communication. They're on the same page, they're making things happen, and we saw it in that clip. And we see it once again in the final clip of the game, the final clip of this series, where Ruddy, they just do Ruddy things. They make it happen, and they win a big team fight when they need to.
Yeah. Certainly do. And yeah, they simply, at this point, are strong enough that they can basically walk forwards the entirety of Verzik is dead by the time Lars gets back. And it's almost fitting that Lars is the last man standing after the split he had of how much of a front man he has been for this Verzik, like the poster boy of the team. Unfortunately, yeah, he's able to put up a good stand, but at the end of the day, it's not enough. Ruddy able to walk that one in and get the 2-0.
last man standing. League of Legends millennia, some could say, is Gwen, but like me, Ruddy able to defeat that boss there, able to pick that one up. And it's a sentiment where I do feel like Ruddy have just been kind of scaling. They've been growing, they've been able to put themselves higher and higher and higher. And the question is, what's their ceiling? First of all, let's say, well played to Verzik, right? They had a hell of a run. They made it a lot further than a lot of people would have thought. They should be proud of their performance, and we're looking forward to seeing more and more of them play. But let's talk about Ruddy. Let's bring up the standings. Let's see how it's all going to go down. Ruddy on to the next step, the lower bracket final that will be played on to Thursday, and it is against Venom Crest. So they are taking on Venom Crest. They haven't played them in the playoffs yet, but what are you guys expecting moving forward to Thursday?
Banger of a series, no doubt. It's absolutely crazy to think we've only got one last best of 3 in us, and then it will move on to our grand final this coming weekend. It is so exciting. Both of these teams still in the lower bracket have shown such a great ceiling. Their floors are very high. It's going to be high impact gameplay from the UK and Ireland.
Very interesting as well is the fact that we didn't see Venom Crest at full strength when they lost to Tempest. They were down Inno, who has been a huge factor in their successes. So, if we are working on the assumption that Inno is back, it will be the question of, have Ruddy grown enough to take the fight to Venom Crest? And that question alone makes me so excited to see how that goes down.
It is indeed, right? We want to see full strength. We want to see top rosters. We want to see top tier gameplay. It is now down to our 2 versus 3 to then go and take our number 1, which I think is pretty fitting, right? I think that our main series really reflects how our playoff run has finished. And all in all, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting time. And obviously, you guys, if you want to watch it, you know you got to tune in on that Thursday. But that is going to be all from us. I want to say thank you very much to all of our casters that were on the show. Shout out to the teams as well, and then obviously shout out to our production, Alex, Casual Cutie, shout out to Lou, and shout out to Jay as well on the production there, because obviously without them there's nothing that can be done. Shout out to Ruddy Reeds because it's his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Your team brought it home. You got a little
Happy
present.
birthday,
I may post that on Twitter later, but either way, that is going to be it from us. We are going to be raiding over to another stream, which is now, there we go, I just had to quickly scroll to find out all the information. It is the 4th division playoffs, Division 2 playoffs. It is the upper bracket semi-final. It is Paragon versus Nuclear Vikings, so make sure you stay and check out some more League of Legends. But that's going to be all from us. We'll see you on Thursday.
Gentlemen, ready up.
Don't just happen. No shade at Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you try to eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you try to cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats, and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan. Hey, I've been saving all I can. Hey, you can call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands, hey, we ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what